live.
Back, welcome to another episode of got everything going, man. Um, Unfortunately, we've been, we've been very fast in this new election. President Donald Trump is now officially the president of the United States. It's more than yesterday. This is a very important and trending topic, which the Rasta community is going to be delving into very soon, trying to figure these things out, as to what type of presidency uh, Mr. Donald J. Trump is going to be having. What does Trump's presidency mean for Rasta and the social media oligarchy? I have my own thoughts about a Trump presidency. I think Trump's presidency is going to have, obviously, like any presidency, positives and negatives, but whatever they are, they're going to be extreme. Right? So we just bore witness yesterday. I think he signed over 200 executive orders. Now, just to put this
Mhm.
into perspective, what I understand, Biden passed approximately 130 plus or so during his entire tenure. Donald J. Trump passed 200 plus executive orders, from what I understand yesterday.
Mhm.
So, one of which I had here, Andy, was let's see, executive order on social media and free speech, preventing online censorship. On his first day in office, President Trump signed an executive order prohibiting federal authorities from infringing on American citizens' free speech. Isn't that fascinating that he had to put federal authorities,
Hmm.
right? Who would have
Interesting.
thought that the federal government was having their hands involved in our freedom of speech on these social media platforms? And this order, it mandates an investigation into potential free speech violations during the previous administration. Thank goodness. I really hope that they come hard, and I mean hard, on these social media platforms so that this type of free speech violations will never happen again. I, for one, can testify I have had an unbelievable journey with Facebook, social media, Instagram, and particularly with regulating freedom of speech. And I can give you time and time again when they made my life a miserable hell on social. A prime example
It's a,
is, you know, I'm sure you guys have all seen it. You want to make a post, you have something that you want to say, and immediately what happens is your post is shadow banned or blocked. These type of situations need to stop immediately. There's just too many people suffering from these types of uh, these types of actions and these type of uh, oligarchical, you know what I mean, strategies. Now, let me give y'all a perspective. When you go back to Facebook, let's say about 2005, when Facebook really started trending, in between 2005 2008, you
mm,
had a flow of people moving and migrating from MySpace over to Facebook because Facebook offered you anonymity. It offered you more privacy. It offered you the ability to control who saw what on your profile. Your personal information was protected more. And when the transition happened, also, Facebook offered a completely new platform for businesses to cross pollinate their interests and what they were doing. Um, so now, that being said, I remember when I first jumped on Facebook, because I can only speak from my own personal perspective, I jumped on Facebook maybe around like '05. And and I remember distinctly that you could copy and paste the URL and add like 15,000 frames in an instant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was no 5,000 frame cap. That's one. I don't know if you guys remember that. Whoever may be watching, but consider like what the world must have felt like at that time when you could instantly click add people and you didn't have to deal with what we're dealing with now, which is bot systems. Bot systems controlling
Mm-hmm.
our my brother Rick, God bless. I. Yes, I.
Yes, yeah.
I
Go on, Rick.
already sent this link to a bunch of my brethren. Please share, brother Joshua. Thank you for supplying the link and everything. These topics are important, man. Who's
Yes.
tired? Who is fed up? Who has had enough of social media oligarchies dominating every post and every thought? They want your brain, they want your mind. Now Meta wants you to tap in. We're literally living in the times where we're so close to the matrix. You're gonna start seeing uh, more and more advancements for your mind. And it's crazy because it brings you back to the topics and stuff we used to talk about in grade school and high school. Illuminati want my mind, soul, and body. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel you, family. I mean, I'm at a point right now where like I want to actually, sometimes I want to execute legal, right? Legal, uh, uh, I want to go the legal route with these social media platforms to respond to this aggressive nature. You know, you used to climb on Facebook and they say, "How you feeling today? What's on your mind? Tell us." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's
They
like you
still
climb
do.
on, like motherfucker, I ain't asked you all that. You know what? Ban, shadow ban, block. What else they do? Cancel. We just live in.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a bunch of suckers. You know what I'm saying? That got in power and saw opportunity and it just capitalism at its worst. See, people talk about capitalism at its finest times. We don't talk about the other end of that capitalism at its worst, where in which a capitalist will block your content and then charge you to get your content out the frames you didn't already earned. These are people I know my whole life. You blocking my posts from people I know my whole life. G.
Mm-hmm.
I used to post a picture and get 400 likes. Now I post a video content I made for an hour and I get 10 likes and 500 views. It's like, are y'all even deleting likes? It's that crazy. You know what I mean? And we fed up. We fed up. So share the link. I'm gonna give y'all. We're gonna give a segue, brother Joshua. You want to jump in and add anything you gotta say? I'm gonna open up
Mm-hmm.
with you for different generations. So for those watching,
For
my
sure.
brother here, he represents a younger generation that didn't come in when it was open. The lane the lane when we came in, when we did MySpace, we did our own coding. You come to my page like you walked into the club. The music start, the videos start. Yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the links to the business. You know what I mean? And now it's like it's just crazy. So tell us from your experience and from your generation while I work on inviting more people into the chat. Big shout out to everybody that joined the chat. My brother Ricky from high school, man, I've known my man for 20 plus years. My brother Warren Wilson, I've known my man for 20 plus years. And yes, the people in control are the ones that are bullied, that got bullied back in the day. They got hemmed up against the locker. They got, you know what I mean? And now they got a little bit of power and they abusing the crap out of their power, man. So real ones, we gotta stand up. We gotta unite. We are not powerless. We are powerful together. Let us centralize power. So, Brother Joshua, give us your take from your generational perspective. My brethren who are in the chat, please add more people. We need more and more people to join and to support the movement. Give back.
Yes, I. And welcome everybody that's tuning in. I would say, like from my perspective, Well, no, it's we'll have our personal perspectives on things, but for me, I didn't really enter into the social media sphere until um I would say around like 20 like 5 not like 2014, maybe 2013, 2014.
Hmm.
Actually no, 2012. Um and so around that time I had got Facebook, and I mean entering onto the scene, it was I was kind of just, you know, everybody from school we kind of just, we just friended each other, and we were kind of just um like I feel like for our generation we were more so into like the we were into like doing like certain posts, like to be honest and stuff, the type of stuff where we would just try to see like just doing the whole like gossiping thing, like seeing what people thought about each other, and
Right.
um just having like this kind of like having this whole clique type of stuff. You had the high school fights and stuff, whether it was on Facebook or Instagram. The high school fights would get posted, the world star type of stuff.
Right. Right.
That's kind of like what we were on, and there were like certain sphere. I guess there were certain. Um, I don't want to say communities, but just certain spaces where certain things happen. But that's kind of like what I entered into. you know and then I guess as time went on, went through high school, and then like here being here now, just seeing how things have changed and evolved. It's been interesting. I would say for me, it's how I've seen it, how I've seen things morph. um
Right.
it I'm trying to describe it. uh the way I would describe it.
You may not have seen the transformation that we have. We're coming from different generations. So for you, well, what year did you jump on social media and really start getting active?
um I would say I started off on Facebook. I jumped on Facebook in like 2012. That was really the only, well, Facebook and YouTube. Those were the only platforms I really used for a while. And yeah,
Right. Well,
and
okay.
then
If you jumped on 2012, I want you to think about how much it changed from 2005 to 2012. Right.
Mhm.
By 2005, they want people to join the platform. So they're laying out the red carpet. They're doing their best to, engage people. They're everything's free flow of information, right? Then you
Yeah,
come into the 2008 and 9 where they start seeing they could profit, right, off of content by blocking your ability to get your content to, the local area. They started really monetizing then, and when they monetized, I think that was a good thing for business, but then it turned into a bad thing because they realized not only do we need to monetize, but we need to use bot systems to block algorithms. And if we block the
mhm.
algorithm, then they have to come through us to get their content out. If they're content creators, if they're entertainers, if they're uh, social media, if they're what do they call them, influencers,
Mhm.
right? So it became a place from I like Facebook to I need Facebook, right? Because
Mhm. Gotcha.
they integrated family members, uh, they integrated group chats where you could go in there and purchase products for cheap. They integrated marketplace, and then the business profiles and pages went from a place where you could market directly to your city and to your type of audience and make specifications that put you in a competitive advantage for targeting and marketing your product. And that is what transformed the platform and made it an asset for a while. But that's until the greed and the federal oversight kicked in. And that's due to many different incidents that occurred on the platform, where in which they had meetings and these House resolutions were making demands public that Facebook needs to do this and that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it was only House resolutions and response from the public that spurred these transformations. I think that prior to 2009 and 8, the parties, the two-party system had never been so polarized until after Obama's first tenure. And after his first 4 years, the left and the right became so extremely polarized and excuse me and set apart from each other. Excuse me, sorry. Oh, give me 1 second.
No, you good,
Yeah,
man.
so they became so. Can you see me?
Yeah, I see.
Okay. They became so. Okay.
Okay, here we
They
go.
became so polarized and divisive that what happened is the social media platform itself feeling pressure, in my opinion, and having their own god, the creator, founder, Mark. I hate to say sucker nerd. I don't like to use that term, but Mark Zuckerberg, to be politically correct, began to express his support, seemingly for the left. Right? To
Mm,
me, if any party had a hard line more than any other party, it was the left. Make no mistake about it. This is deliberate. You got extreme leftism, which pushed the right so far right that there was nobody standing in the middle anymore. You were either left or you were right. If you said one thing about Kamala, we hate your guts. If you said one thing about Trump, it could have just been, I'm glad that he passed, this executive order, or congratulations for making it to the White House. You have become an enemy of the other party, even if
mm,
you didn't salute to either one of the parties. So that has to be brought into context because I think that put the social media platform, Facebook, into such a leftist mentality, right? And
mm,
then to add insult to injury, Facebook turned around and purchased Instagram, right? And
mm,
this
mm,
acquisition of this major influential app, to me, it's like a takeover. So to me, that's a hostile takeover. You feel me? That's like a
mm.
get down and lay down. I know we know what that looks like. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah,
So
because yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm glad that you have brought that into perspective for me because, for me, and I feel like for a lot of my generation um, coming onto these platforms, a lot of us uh, didn't really come on thinking about it from a maybe from a business perspective. We jumped on because oh, with social media, this is what everybody's doing. So we were kind of just all just you know we were
Yeah,
jumping off from a different mindset, not really looking at like what's going on um,
right,
business wise or and not really following the tactics or anything that is
right.
being used from that. So I just want to say thank you for educating me on that.
Yeah, no, you're good. There's a lot of underlining. I mean, they just had a house meeting. I want to say a month ago or maybe 2, 3 months ago. They were coming down on uh Mark Zuckerberg for a lot of child trafficking that wasn't being dealt with on the platform, and coming
Mm,
on the end of the R. Kelly child trafficking, right? That's coming on on the cusp of the Diddy trial. That's coming on the end of the Weinstein incidents and the rumors of child trafficking, which are going crazy. So that had an impact on the platform. And now, in my opinion, all Zuckerberg is trying to do is put himself in a position where he can't legally be responsible for the ramifications of their actions. But they are completely out of line. I think that something should be done. I feel saddened that it's gone this far that you feel you need to regulate freedom of speech. I'll give you an example. I posted on my Instagram, oh no, Facebook, during the election. I posted uh, a background on John F. Kennedy or Robert F. Kennedy, John F. Kennedy's nephew. And
Mhm.
I mean, it was very simple. It just gave his uh, gave his background. You know, it must have been like a paragraph, but it wasn't anything at first. And I mean, they pulled my post down, and I have evidence too. You know, and they told me they were going to post it back up, or they were going to contact me and let me know what I did wrong. They never
Mhm.
contacted me. They just pulled it down. Now, to me, that is an infringement on my freedom of speech, and that is also election tampering
Mhm.
because we, the people, don't just have power in our vote. We have power in our word style. We have power in our posts. You know what I mean? As what they call
Mhm.
influencers, right? So
Mhm.
you're now you brought people on your platform. You created a realm. You created the legal framework for that realm, and you made it conducive to only you and your oligarchy and your oligarchy's political ideas and agenda. So it's a
Mhm.
net that caught fish, and that's the best way I can describe it. And I think that once more people start to speak up, it wouldn't have never gotten this far if people knew their own power. If people said, "Okay, I'm gonna stop using this platform, or I'm gonna start looking for other options." But see, here's another
Mhm.
thing, another hardship part about that is you get so entrenched and intertwined with these social media handles that now you got your family members on there, you got your locations on there, you got texting, so they can compromise you,
Mhm.
right, and your integrity and your privacy, as well as um as well as and to just further, right, because we haven't even got into the aggressive promotional campaigns that they do on you as a viewer on Instagram and Facebook and the other social media platforms. You jump on and you're a black male in this demographic region, and now everything is ass, breast, or fights, and right controversial. It, it's an attack. Now there's a bombardment on your mind. They know from a young age you're going to be on those social media platforms. They know from a young age you are going to be impressionable, and you may have met your girlfriend on that platform, and that's the primary way that you talk and communicate. So you look
Mhm.
at it like you need it, dependent. So they know what they're doing, and I think it's a very important topic. But so we don't get too far off of the main topic, which is Donald Trump's presidency and what this will mean for social media oligarchies. To me, I think they're running like like dogs with their tails tucked behind them. So, but what
Mhm.
I mean by that is, if you notice, Zuckerberg came out and did a this announcement that we're going to be opening uh, our platforms for more free speech and less regulation, yada yada yada. And I
Mhm.
think that he was doing that to save grace, because if he does go to court and he is charged for these things, he's going to pull that out of his, you know what I mean,
Mhm.
out of his bag. That's one aspect. Number two, federal, and I think that this is underappreciated. The federal uh, involvement and overreach. Now there's something bigger brewing under the surface here. People are not picking up on, right? If you go and look at Agenda 47, and if you go and look at some of the things that Donald Trump has said, there's a bigger war brewing here, and it has to do with federal and state, in particular the United States, right?
Mhm.
People begin to look at federal as if it was the United States. It is not and never has been. Federal has come into the United States and gotten very comfortable on the United States couch and has now even, in a sense, economically speaking, purchased the deeds and the rights and the land to the United States and now has created their own federal overreach and their own legal framework, just like Zuckerberg did, excuse me, which has put which has put America compromised a lot of Americans' livelihood. On other ends, and because I want to be non-biased and objective, federal programs have also, in some ways, some may argue that they benefited American citizens in pertaining to programs for families who need financial aid and companies who receive financial aid and assistance from the federal government. So uh, this is a very um, important topic because I just want to paint a picture that if Donald Trump goes to the extent of pushing the federal government out of their hegemony, if you will, and their position of power in the United States, this is what could trigger a civil war in this country,
Mm.
right? Because there's too many people dependent on federal funding for their family, for their day to day. There's too many companies that are dependent on federal funding. There's too many states that agree with and depend on federal funding. So the
Mhm.
southern states, if you've noticed, Florida is moving in the opposite direction of federal funding, right? And is saying we want to reestablish our independence as a state because we have the right to. And if it and this is what led to the secession of the southern states in the Civil War from the Union, right? So this is a very interesting time in history. There's a lot of layers to this conversation. I think we definitely need to do a part two, actually, thinking about it. But
Yeah,
no
for sure.
longer are we going to be silent. I'm speaking up on behalf of those who have not been had opportunity to speak and air their grievances. We've gone to the Better Business Bureau. Um, we've talked to legal aid. We've spoken up on social media platforms. We've looked at other options, and they have a whole oligarchy.
Hmm.
And any other platform that stands up and starts to gain traction and do well for itself gets purchased.
Hmm.
Which leads me to TikTok, right?
And
Because
I was actually going to ask you about that because you uh okay.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to ask you about that because I know people have been I've been seeing people talk about, the stunt that was it seemingly like it was just a stunt what they pulled as far as this TikTok ban, because they shut it down. Everybody freaked out, but then they brought it right back after like a few hours or so, and they're talking about, we want to thank President Donald Trump for doing what he did. And
Right.
and it kind of I had to kind of think about it myself. you know did he even do anything? Did he actually do anything, or like they're saying, was this just a stunt? And then also too, because of the whole, even leading up to the TikTok ban, a lot of people were jumping over to the other Chinese app, Red Note. Like, I forget how many people did, but a whole bunch of people jumped over there. And then, as far as us talking about like the privacy concerns and stuff, I was before I even like thought to do anything. I was thinking about, well, I had heard that, being on Red Note, your privacy issues were going to be even worse. And then they also have like there's certain things that you're not even allowed to talk about because of what the Chinese government, is enforcing on their social media and stuff anyway. So
Perfect segue. So a lot of people don't know that the Chinese government has created TikTok at a time where they understand the influence of social media, and it has become a direct threat to the oligarchy of American influence social media. And
mhm.
the American response was to put a firewall to stop access to these platforms and to regulate American participation on these platforms. So there's an
Mhm.
underground kind of war stirring on social media in China and America as well. You know, today, when
You
you
breaking
want
up,
to
brother?
influence the youth, can you hear me? Yeah.
You still breaking up?
Okay. You hear me
You
now?
still?
Can you
What?
hear me
Okay,
now?
okay, you good now? You good now?
All right. This is what I say. This is legal too. What I'm smoking. So
You got it.
give me a second. Um, there is
Oh, you just went silent. Mm-mm. It's still. It's like it went mute or something. Still can't. I still can't hear you. It's like the volume that kind of just like went out. Like,
it's the oversight on this.
oh, okay, I hear you now. I hear you now.
It's the oversight.
But your screen's frozen.
Hear me now?
Okay, so it's the sound. It was better, but it's kind of muffled. It's like it's muffled.
You give me one.
It's better, a little better.
You think it'd be on flight speed?
Mm.
All right, you can hear me now. Is that better?
Oh yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. So back to what I was saying. There's a underground brewing conflict between Chinese social media platforms and American social media platforms. China responds to this oligarchy, to this domination of social platforms, essentially goes and says, "Hey, we'll give you a platform where you can do all of that shit and you can market everywhere." You get what I'm saying? That's
Mm-hmm.
TikTok. TikTok is the answer to the issues and challenges that you have on Facebook and Instagram, right? If you
Hmm.
think about it, it gives you a better TikTok gives you better editing capabilities. It doesn't regulate your free speech as much, and it gives you a bigger audience quicker. Those are the things that people want.
Hmm. It's
So
fine.
the United States response is they're seeing it as dangerous. It's no different than it's no different than uh, okay, Muammar Gaddafi promised the African American community that he was going to give them a donation of $1 billion through Farrakhan because Farrakhan and his relationship were pretty seemed to be pretty good, strong ties based on their Islamic background and their outspoken nature against the United States. So the United States sees this as a threat because if Farrakhan is sending aid or money for our community and we are in the heart of the United States and he can turn our hearts towards his government's interests and away from our own. And as much as we don't think we're powerful as a community, if you go and study the Order of the Black Dragon and how in, in how they infiltrated and influenced Imperial Japan, right? And how and how this Order of the Black Dragon recruited African Americans to as a means to an end for their goals in World War II, then you can understand the power that we actually have in our communities. There's a
Mm.
lot of influence in ways that we can influence global politics. They understand that. You know what I'm saying? So now let's look at China and parallel these two. Right? China is looking at the continental United States and saying, how can we get into the hearts and minds of the oncoming generation? And what better way to do that than social media, right? And understanding the power of influence. Every
Mm.
single day, people are jumping on TikTok and they may be influenced by China in ways that they don't realize, but our government does.
Mm.
So they did officially terminate TikTok, but it is very interesting timing. We don't know if Trump has a backdoor with China. We don't know if uh, Trump has a backdoor with those that terminated our access uh, to TikTok. I mean, clearly it was Biden's administration, I'm assuming, that terminated it and had to go through a procedure to do this. And so it's a welcome home party for Trump in a way because he looks like the savior, right? And
Mm.
the defender of free speech coming in, right? California
Mm.
all of a sudden is burning, and now when he comes into office, he has some cleanup to do. Will he or will he not? It's questionable because really, if California, who gets federal funding, think about it. How can you offset one of the most influential states in the United States? You can offset them essentially. A fire happens, and now the whole state is in panic. Now they need assistance, and that assistance can come from an executive order, or it can come from
Mm.
federal aid. Who's going to come to the aid of California? I guess it's yet to be seen. I'm sure things are already in works, but in my opinion, you can look at it like that. I will not say unequivocally that that's what happened, but a person who thinks critically can connect the dots and see there's a lot of things aligning in the interest of Trump right when he takes presidency. First, you get shot in the ear, which if you go and look, anybody watching this, just go and look. If you type in, um, there are military grade weaponry that has the capacity to fire rounds at such a pinpoint accuracy as that they can hit your ear and not your face,
Mm.
right? So 1,300 meters, 2,500 meters, however far off. If they have a machine in the right place, it could look like the guy on the roof, but it might have been that machine that shot that bullet and the trajectory maybe spin and hit Buddy right off in the ear, exactly where it's supposed to. Maybe even not a real round or bullet, maybe a non-lethal hits his ear, splits his ear. You know, there's a lot of ways to do that today. And I like to put things into perspective. Can't stay away from conspiracy. Let's look at what we can prove as officially possible. There's
Mhm.
there's a literal possibility that a machine, without question, can fire at such a pinpoint accuracy as to hit the ear. And what is the outcome, or what is the response to this? An emotional response. They tried to take my president's life. It could reinvigorate a campaign at the time it needs to be reinvigorated while running for office. Another thing that's interesting is as soon as Donald Trump is announced elected as president or select, you have Steve Bannon, who was his political advisor, strategist, who had eventually been fired and terminated because of the public outcry, and somehow disappears. He ends up in, I believe, federal custody for approximately 6 months. Really still don't even know much about the story. It's so much going on, but consider, I think the day Trump is elected or the day after or before, somewhere around that time, he's released and makes a public statement about his support, continued support for Trump, and what this presidency is going to look like and what he's been up to. That's pretty profound. You know what I mean? So we talked about what this means for Rasta, and there was, it's interesting because Steve Bannon, when he was talking, he talked about working collectively with blacks and teaching blacks, and I thought that was fascinating. I would say teaching, as always, a superior perspective, like we're helping the community. Now, I do not push communities away that want and genuinely desire to help our community. We are all one, regardless of race, but there is a race that's subjected to discrimination in this country more than any other race. It's fact, and I hate to use the word race, so I'll say ethnic group, African Americans, and what we would call melanated peoples of the Americas. And so it is good, and it is well received when you see people like that come out and seem to be reformed and desiring to work with us. On the other end, His Majesty teaches us to have eternal vigilance, um, and an acute sense of discrimination. So we have to be able to look and observe with a clean eye, with a sober mind, that these people are friendly or enemy, and we'll
Mhm.
know them by their fruit. It ain't what they say; it's what they do. There was
Right.
some things that Trump said in his first time in office, like he was against COVID vaccines, and I mean he got people using more off the market holistic products and things that were questionable, and then he turned around, got the vaccination right, and then turn around and issue uh, warp speed, Operation Warp Speed. So,
Mhm.
and this is not a criticism because we can evolve, we can see things different, we can change. But when you look at, for example, Obama, when Obama came in office, Obama said he doesn't agree that a man and a woman should be together. And then he went and changed to, I believe, in civil union. And then he changed to, I believe, in same-sex marriage. And then it just, as you know, history shows, he just went on and on and on and further and further and further. As many as many doors he could open, he just, what I mean, he opened Pandora's box. So that's how we know history, by his fruit, not by his words. Right? Because the words that any person who's coming into office are going to speak are going to sound like roses and sunshine every time,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So, and this is not, like I said, once again, a criticism against Trump or President Obama. This is or previous President Obama. This is a uh, fair and balanced, objective perspective. We're looking at action, not words. And what does it mean for the Rasta community? How does Trump and his version of Christianity align with Rastafarianism. There's a large amount of Rasta immigrants in this country. What does that mean? What does it mean for Rasta immigrants? What does a Trump presidency mean for them? And the Rastafarian are, some would say Pan African, some would say pro black, however you want to phrase it. Trump's administration has been labeled, and I think I can't say accurately, but I can say it has been labeled uh, with fascism. We just saw Elon Musk, right, do the whole Nazi salute, right,
Mhm.
which begs so many questions. But you know, that's not a far shot for me. I watched Musk for a while. I watched his interviews, and I thought one in particular that he gave about Tesla, Nikola Tesla, and his his ideas and thoughts about Tesla were not he didn't have the greatest things to say about Tesla, but he did have things to say about the man who essentially profiteered on Tesla's legacy. I believe it's Edison. He had a
Mhm.
lot of great things to say about him. So that particular interview, if you go watch it on YouTube, you'll see it lets you know that Elon Musk is a capitalist more than he is a creative, right? Because
Mhm.
he ain't going to the lab and creating something for the sake of creating something. He's creating something that he knows is going to be a profit on the end of that. It's going to be some power on the end of that. And if you go and look at apartheid and where he comes from in South Africa, right, his home of origin, then
Mhm.
you'll see and understand his pathology mentally and where a lot of the ideas he has may derive from. When you can openly tell people you're going to Mars and say you're colonizing Mars, and that's okay
Mhm.
with the terminology you're using, then obviously either you slip, there was a slip of the tongue, or you just believe in colonization. It's that simple, right? I know
Mhm.
colonize is a much more ancient term than how we view it in modern day terminology. It predates the transatlantic slave trade, I would assume, but it does not negate the impact that colonization has had on the world and our community in particular. And so I think when you're talking publicly, you have to be more choicey with your words, and you can find more uh, a better choice of words that are not going to conflict with interests of minority uh, communities, which I hate the term minority, so forgive me for that. But yeah, um, so I think Rastafarian are mixed because on one end, Trump has conservative values. He want to do away with the Batiman skin, right? He want to do away with LGBT ideals and uh, extreme left liberal ideals. And so I think on one end, the Rasta is content with that because they have a Christian foundation. Although all Rasta may not claim Christianity, we all do claim the way, right? Which is the proper term for Christianity prior to Constantine and the Nicene Creed and all those things. So we can say it is a foundation stone for our faith. So yeah, did you want to segue or say anything? Jump in. You have anything else you wanted to contribute? I would say we can jump off in about 5, 10, and we'll do another episode on this topic because this is a really important topic.
Yeah, for sure, brother. Um, I do appreciate the insight into everything that is going on as far as this inauguration, and then just what we see transpiring with, like the title says, social media oligarchy. Um, I think from my perspective, uh, it's I think this is something that something that I've kind of seen happening, not really knowing like what words to put with it until I saw a couple of posts because I know even Joe Biden had went and talked about pretty much about what he was seeing. He said, there's a dangerous, oligarchy that's forming with these tech, these tech guys, these tech billionaires, and I feel like a lot of people have kind of seen that forming, but now to see what's happening, like talked about with Trump's presidency, and then what's going on with Elon, and um, what's happening with TikTok. Everything is kind of starting to like come together, and it's making sense. And I even recently saw a video too recently, like how we were talking about the meta, and what was the video?
Right, great.
Um,
Oh,
I'm trying to remember what they were talking about in the video, but there were people they were sitting down talking about the they were talking about how there would be people who would be able to travel, right? As far as like with the different classes of the rich and the poor, and how there's like this whole idea of the middle class is kind of dissolving. They were saying that it would come to a point where rich people would be able to travel, and then poor people would have to use virtual reality. And then they're talking about like the smart cities that they're trying to develop, which is there are theories about why about the fires that have been happening in California. That
oh,
what happened
the
recently
smart
was like a segue.
that makes sense. Mm.
So yeah, because
And so, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, usually when it comes to like some form of chaos being instilled amongst people, then there's some sort of order that is established out of it. So,
Right, right,
you
right.
know,
It's the proper term is um out of chaos order,
right.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you make a great point. Meta is going to be such a transformative. People don't even understand how much energy and resources they're tying into Meta. Meta is like the new baby of the Facebook world, and
Hmm.
I mean they're rolling out the glasses now, so you can get on and you can just do so much with a pair of glasses that somebody next to you has no idea you're doing, right? Gathering data and information on the spot, which is invaluable because the greatest resource on the planet is is information, right?
Hmm.
And Kanye said that. So shout out to Kim Kanye. I love that genius um, mind that God gives you. So Meta, right? Imagine the how Facebook is, but imagine now Meta. You're on there chatting with people around the world. Your full-time job is in the Meta realm. You purchase digital land and you have to live and abide by digital law. And so to me, I look at it in the sense like the devil, God has created this realm, which is the real realm, and then we have the metaphysical realm that God Almighty, which is the eternal realm, and now the spirit of the Antichrist is trying to essentially create a new realm that is, in a sense, physical and metaphysical,
Hmm.
connecting the physical experience with the metaphysical, and wants
Hmm.
it to be better than this realm. Whereas this realm, I can't just open my eyes and be in China. In that realm, I can't. In this realm, I can't just walk across the street and be in contact with somebody in Japan. In that realm, I can't. And a
Hmm.
lot of people don't understand how far in advance countries like Japan are in artificial
Oh.
intelligence, which is really what it is, right? And
Hmm.
these metaphysical realms, that's why they call it meta, right? Metaphysical.
Hmm.
You know, say, uh,
Is that?
and they don't comprehend how deep this wormhole goes. You You start with some heavy gargles, and you end up with glasses, and then you end up with contacts, and then you end up with Neuralink,
Implants. Mm-hmm.
implants, and then beyond implants. Because right now, Neuralink, people understand, Neuralink is not something they're just going to inject into your arm. Neuralink is essentially you have to lay somebody down and give them surgery to put that in their brain right now. So imagine when a nanotech can be shot in their arm, and then the small device makes it maneuver this way up into your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean, or other things in that regard. That those things are just right up. We're probably already doing it, but they probably haven't been able to pass federal and state and international law yet, right? They
Mm-hmm.
probably are doing it, but they probably don't have the right to do it legally
Yeah.
yet
Mm.
in certain territories. So first they master it in the lab, then they bring it forward to the proper international and national and federal organizations, and then they authorize. Then it goes into the market, usually hitting wealthy people first, and then it trickles down into our communities once it's became old. So
Mm-hmm. And you know
when
what's? Oh, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
no, continue.
Oh, I was just gonna say that a lot of. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's what a lot of people I've seen who when people talk about the COVID vaccines, a lot of people say that that's kind of like that was like a test run, right? Because with the pandemic, you know, and all the chaos that kind of happened from the pandemic, and then the fact that they came up with these vaccines like so quickly, it was like the typical process for creating a vaccine is supposed to be like a few years, and they created it within like what, a few months.
Right, they created it quick and they put it in the market quick. That's important. They passed executive orders allowing for them to not only put it in the market, but not have to take any legal responsibility or ramifications if the product goes awry.
Right, right.
And
Hmm.
that's just, to me, that's called sweet powers. You know what I mean? That's like
Hmm.
me. It really it's crazy. We can get into the COVID thing. I think that has to do with nanotech as well, and something that you can look into that these vaccinations would infuse silicone, which is considered nanotech, into your body, and your body can
Hmm.
only get rid of like 30% of the nanotech that is placed into it. And if you go check HR 3200 of the Patient Protection Authorization Act, House Resolution,
Hmm.
better known as Obamacare, you'll see that they established a national registry so they could have oversight these uh, uh, on these medical registered devices that they're imputing into your body and anatomy. It gives them the ability to watch these products and to uh, have a national registry on these products. So centralizes all these products under one regulation body, regulatory body. That is unbelievable. And there's a case called Chakbardi versus the U.S. Supreme Court, where in which a company created a um, they created a bacteria which was considered a living organism, and they wanted to have the right to essentially own that bacteria, right, as a patent. And the case, they won the case. So it set a precedence. This was in the 80s or the 90s. It set a precedence that a company can own nanotech or something they created in a laboratory that's inside your body. So just like your phone and you make payments on it, if I own
Hmm.
that nanotech inside of you and you ain't finished the payments, then guess what? Right? You're indebted to me. And then that brings us into cyborgs, right? Which is cyborg is a human that also is connected to technology. essentially, when you put a pair of glasses on, from what I understand, you're kind of like a cyborg because you're utilizing glasses, and this connects you to. It's fascinating, and it's a very thin line. Something has to be studied thoroughly. So please, forgive the eye if I'm not exactly accurate. I always encourage everybody to do their own studies, and we're gonna go. We're gonna come off live soon, but the point I'm trying to make is it's funny because Mobb Deep, Jay Z, Nas, Snoop Dogg, and even I don't know if Tupac used the verse too, but the verse goes, and I don't like to say it because it's blasphemous to ask if God can save me, but I will say this. It says, Illuminati want my mind, soul, and my body.
Mm,
Neuralink coming for your mind. That's a fact. The meta world coming for your soul.
mm,
And when they got your soul, and you got your body because you wherever you go, you got them goggles on, or you're in their realm. So they
mhm,
got your body with the food you eat every day. They got your body. Uh, they got your body with forcing you in a sense. You gotta go to work. You know what I mean? So you're gonna be where they want you to be. They set up
mhm,
the grid, so it's no escaping if you want to just dipset. There is, but it's very, very, very slim to none chances these days for you to just go off the grid. So they got
mhm,
your body, right? They got your body with pornography. They got your body with um, they got your body with pharmaceuticals and medications, right? Uh, and then they got your mind with the television. They got your mind with media. They got your mind with social media, and now they want your soul. And your soul is where what sets you apart from your mind.
mm,
Your mind is an organ, a muscle, and it functions like every other mind on the planet. So what separates you from your mind, right? Your soul. Everything that you've learned in your life makes you who you are today. That connected with your DNA now gives you a individual identity, which some can say is a soul. Some define a soul like a garden, which houses different spirits or energy. And we transmute that energy into reusable energy as human beings. So when I say they want your soul, what I'm saying is your mind can have you as a muscle reading a book, but unless your soul is open, you will not be engaged in that book, right? Your third eye has to be open for you to connect, right? So that that energy can be transmuted from the person's brain who wrote the book into the book in symbols, and then the symbols become bridges which allow that energy to transmute into your brain and then eventually come back out through some form of action.
mhm.
Right. So
Right.
here is the the soul part, right?
Mhm,
Illuminati wants your mind, soul, and your body. And that expression never meant more than now. You know what I mean? Because they're talking about transhumanism. They want to live forever. Cyborgs. The you people already walking around here that are cyborgs. You wouldn't even know. You got masks that look so identical to human beings that you wouldn't be able to tell if the person was sitting right next to you. You got the deep fake, where in which you can have anybody saying anything at any place, anywhere, anytime, and people would believe you. I mean, let's be clear. Even Elon Musk's recent, you know, Nazi salute could have been deepfake, right? We
mhm.
don't know. We weren't there.
Right.
So, right, we got to check, double check, quadruple check everything nowadays. You got Starlink satellites around every single part of this earth. You got SpaceX working on taking people and colonizing Mars. They have not only a plan for Mars, they got a plan to take over the universe. This is unreal. Um,
Mhm,
you have this in our day and age. NASA has become a thing of the past almost. right? There was a
Mhm.
major battle. Go study the history between private and between government pertaining to space, right? The space race was important during the Cold War. America getting to the moon first, however you want to say, set a precedence in the Cold War. So, what type
Mhm.
of Cold War are we in now? Because now it seems like the private sector is taking over space. They have a green light. So, what does that look like in the future? That's colonization in its finest. It was private companies that was coming over here to the Americas and sponsoring these trips and putting together insurance policies to get paid off your dead body, etc. So, there's a large amount of things going on, like I said, from nanotech, early quantum dot tattoo is another one that's very fascinating. You gotta go look into um, go type in patent number um 2020 06 06 06. You can't make this up. But there's a patent made by Microsoft, which I'm assuming is influenced by Gates some way or another. And this patent allows uh, it puts um, it puts what's the best way to say it? It allows for a third party user to give you a job, and you have some form of RFID or some form of uh, transponder within your body that can measure whether the job has been accomplished or not and pay you out automatically.
Mm.
Right? It's
Mhm.
body data collecting. I forget what it's called. Just go look it up. It's 2020 06 06 06.
06.
Did you find it?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now behind the backstory for that is that Rothschild and Rockefeller, or excuse me, Gates and Rockefeller, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation worked with Rockefeller to create international ID. And they obviously it's not going to be like a card any longer. The days of the cat cards and the debit card, those days are coming to an end. And what you're seeing is a quantum dot tattoo. Go type in quantum dot tattoo.
Mhm.
Quantum dot tattoo essentially allows for, I believe, digital exchange and exchanges of information, and it's going to be the new form of like almost a phone. What they
Mhm.
do is they extract an enzyme from these fireflies, and the enzyme is called luciferase, and the enzyme is imputed into your skin through like some form of a digital biocompatible tattoo, and the
Mhm.
tattoo has the ability. I think the luciferase is a phosphorus that, or some form of a light that illuminates and allows for whatever tool they have to read data. So go look into it. You'll see what I'm saying. It's called quantum dot tattoo.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'm just trying to give y'all some of the, bring awareness to some of the things that are on the horizon as far as technology is concerned. And I'm sure there's so many more. There's people that are gonna watch it and go, oh, what about this? What about this?
Mhm.
If you feel like there was more, share in the comments below on the YouTube video. Make sure you guys follow our social media handles, Keepers of the Light, on all platforms, whether it's TikTok, whether it's X, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Instagram, and we're going to be opening more platforms or more media. So before we go, I wanted to share some other options that you guys have for social media, right? I know you're tired of the oligarchy. I am tired as well. So I'm gonna go try to explore some of these. You go try to explore some of these other social media platforms, which I'm gonna give you, and we come back to meet at the middle of the table and dialogue on those and how they're going for us in the future, moving forward. One of them, so it's been a rise of competitors due to a lot of this overreach. And some of the platforms are Mastodon. Another platform is Truth Social, and another platform is
Mhm.
Parler.
Yeah.
And one of the ones that it seems to be like a initiative to decentralize social media is called Blue Sky, and it aims to offer platforms without centralized control and reducing risk of corporate overreach. So check those sites out. I'm sure y'all know about Patreon. I'm sure, obviously, y'all know about StreamYard. I'm sure y'all know about Clubhouse. I'm sure y'all know about what's the one Isaac Hayes' son I think was doing. Um, the one you talked to me about the other day.
Oh, fan base.
Fan base is another one.
Yep, yep.
Twitch, and I'm sure there's just so much more. We'll
Mhm.
see which social media sites actually uh, do the best and take that center stage in the near future. Um, but yeah, until then,
Mhm.
maintain eternal vigilance, like we're taught by His Imperial Majesty and Proud Selassie I the First. Shout out to all the Rastahs around the world. Shout out to the keepers of the light. Um, make sure that you are supporting and donating to the Global Diasporan Education and Entertainment Network (LLC), which is the umbrella for everything we're doing. Thank you for joining in to another gathering attention for dialogue to Machiavellian stratagem. So we're excited to be giving you guys more media. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, sir.
And salute to the brother Josh again for another great episode.
Salute, brother.
And yeah, we are gonna sign off. If there's anything I missed, man, let me know. If you want to say anything before we go, Isaac, the floor is yours.
I don't think I have anything. I think we pretty much covered it, and I know, like you said, we'll go ahead and do a part two on this because I know that there's,
Yeah,
a lot to it. But I think
thank
that's
you
it.
so much. Yeah, so much. We'll definitely do part two. Yeah, let me reserve my thoughts for that. So yeah, looking forward to the part two. Thanks for everybody that came, watched, shared, subscribed, liked, donated. We appreciate all the support. Go follow our social media handles. God bless.
All right.
All
Peace.
right.